October the 15th, edible and poisonous wild mushrooms. When a large number of field mycologists were asked to give their views on their favourite edible species, the top 10 in order of excellence were the Sep parasol, field mushroom, Chanterelle wood bluet, shaggy inkcap, giant puffball, horse mushroom, babelite, and field bluet. Close contenders, if the list was continued, were the Prince, All Plenty, Morel, Hedgehog, charcoal burner, chicken in the woods, St. George's mushroom, oyster, summer truffle, and Jew's ear. A sizable proportion of the wild mushrooms in London woods are edible, but without a competent mycologist to identify them, it would be more than wise to keep buying them from the supermarket. Different ethnic groups in the city seem to have their own particular favourites. The holy grail for almost everyone is the Sep penny bun or porcini, that is, Boletus edulis, particularly sought after by the French and Italians. Poles and other Eastern Europeans seem to have a great fondness for the babelite, Boletus badius, often only collecting young, whole specimens for bottling. The Chinese like Jew's ear for the more glutinous Swedish species for their stir fries, and the Russians hunt for huge orange birch boletes for their soups and blinis. Seps are not common in London, but small numbers do turn up almost anywhere there is old mossy woodland, even Tutankhamun. The parasol, Macra lepiota crossra, the wood bluet, and the shelly inkcap are all common, but like most edible mushrooms, should not be picked anywhere near roads in case they had absorbed any heavy metals or other toxins from nearby traffic. Horse mushrooms, field bluets, and the prince are all sufficiently uncommon that they should also be left. Inner London woods suffer badly from soil compaction due to excessive numbers of human feet, resulting in smaller numbers of fruiting bodies of any one species being produced. If shaggy inkcaps are picked, it is important only to pick the very young specimens, otherwise they will have turned to ink before they reach the kitchen. Oddly, giant puffballs turn up in our parks and cemeteries. Again, only pure white specimens should be eaten that have not started to form any dark spores inside. Very small specimens could be confused with poisonous earth balls. Species such as the babelite, Chanterelle, horn of plenty, morel, and hedgehog are declining in numbers. Hedgehogs are even on the red data list of endangered species. Chicken in the woods and the shaggy parasol are both common, but some people seem to be allergic to them, so it is worth being cautious here as well. Species that are abundant and safe to eat are Jew's ear, Auricularia auricular-judi, the oyster mushroom, Pyrotus austriatus, and the fairy ring champignon, Marasmius oreades. The latter can commonly be found growing in rings, often in large numbers, in nearly all of our central parks. Traditionally, they were cooked in pies, as they not only had a good flavour, but didn't disintegrate when cooked. For many, the charcoal burner, Russula cyaxantha, is the most delicious of the brittlegills, being both large and full of flavour. However, like many of the edible boletes, either slug snails or fly larvae usually get to them first. Many edible species also deteriorate quickly in wet weather. Other well-known edible species, such as St. George's mushroom and the miller, have a mealy smell that is not to everyone's liking, as is the more unusual spicy perfume of the cauliflower fungus. Honey fungus is much prized in Italy when cooked with pasta, but perhaps due to there being many different strains, the species found in London do not seem to exert the same culinary appeal. Although truffles are not associated with London woods, they do occur on some beechwood slopes, especially where the soil is friable. It is likely some of the older, richer estates employed one of their workers to find summer truffles for the top table, if they were known to occur on their land. This practice seems to have died out after the First World War. Any would-be forager should first be well acquainted with London's poisonous mushrooms. The number one culprit is, of course, the already mentioned deathcap, which in certain years can be found in several places. Other legendary poisoners are the red-staining anisabe, the livid loma, devil's bolete, and the destroying angel, all of which are much rarer and unlikely to be found. Yet others, such as the stinking parasol, panther cap, yellow-staining agaric, and ivory Clitocybe dealbata, are much more common, and confusions are therefore much more likely. It is never worth picking a small parasol in case it is a poisonous stinking parasol, Lepiota cristata. Similarly, if collecting field mushrooms, they should all be checked for any bright yellow staining in case the yellow staining agaric, Agaricus xanthodermus, has also accidentally been included. Morels should be checked against a false morel, Gyromitra esculenta, which, like the busher, Amanita rubescens, can only be eaten safely after being heated or boiled. Chanterelles should be distinguished from false chanterelles, Hygrophoropsis aurantiaca, which can cause gastric upsets. The latter are especially common in London's conifer woods. Anybody with a preference for purple bluets should first make sure they are able to recognize purple cortinarius species, of which many are poisonous. There is also a common habit of collecting wild mushrooms that are edible but poor tasters, just to bulk up the numbers in the basket. Brittlegulls, waxcaps, and deceivers are all collected for this purpose, and each have some dangerous lookalikes, none more so than the lilac forms of the highly poisonous Inocyber geophylla. There is also a common habit of collecting wild mushrooms that are edible but poor tasters, just to bulk up the numbers in the basket. Brittlegills, waxcaps, and deceivers are all collected for this purpose, and each have some dangerous lookalikes, none more so than the lilac forms of the highly poisonous Inocyber geophylla, which can look remarkably like edible purple deceivers. Lastly, a certain echelon of London society has a preference for the liberty cat, Psilocybe semilanceata, because of its hallucinogenic qualities. Perhaps because of this, it seems to have become rather rare, even in the rough-on golf courses, which it was often known to inhabit.